Yeah, and Sam, I was going to go with Indiana as well just because, honestly, they're not a team that I saw being ranked in the top 25, let alone being one of the top teams in their conference. But honorable mention, Navy. I mean, you look at Navy last season, UNT played them. We lost, but again, they didn't have the best season, and now they're undefeated. So it's been great to see the service academies and what they've been able to do in college football this year. Flipping the script, we're still talking about some good teams here, but we're going to look at the Heisman watch. You've got Ashton Jeanty from Boise State.
Yeah.
You've got Travis Hunter. He recently came out and was kind of controversial. His take talking about how, if he had as many touches as Jeanty, he would be favored to win the Heisman. So, Val, I'm going to start with you. Who's your favorite to win the Heisman this year?
I completely agree with Jeanty. He's extraordinary, and that is the reason why we're talking about him. It would not be the main topic of conversation if he didn't have his stats to prove it. We have 1,248 rushing yards, 18 total touchdowns, and an unbelievable 9.9 yards per carry. I mean, if he keeps this pace, it could beat the Barry Sanders' historic 2,628 yards. So it is great. He's been amazing. Interesting to watch. Never thought I would be watching a Boise State game, but it is interesting that he's making me want to watch that and see what he's doing and if he's worthy of having that trophy. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do, and we still have a lot of games to watch him, become better and prove everybody wrong,
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely the pick. It's my pick as well. And I can't believe Travis Hunter is saying that. If I had that many touches.
Yeah, no.
I think
you don't.
Yeah,
you don't have that many touches. Ashton Jeanty does, and he's putting up Madden, like numbers. This is me on rookie mode. I just
Sure.
But it's unbelievable what he's doing. And Travis Hunter, I'm sorry, you're going to be maybe second place.
And I think the coolest part about Ashton Jeanty is, one, he's not from a Power 5, Power 4 school.
Definitely.
He's from Boise State. He's also not a quarterback, which I think that's good for football, seeing someone that's not in a quarterback position be in the Heisman race. What do you think about that, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, college football is so unpredictable. We're seeing all brands of football go into this pass-first kind of league. And so it was weird a couple years ago seeing Devontae Smith win the Heisman. Mm-hmm. And now Ashton Jeanty is putting up these numbers. It's amazing to see a break from the monotony.
Right.
Definitely. I even had to Google what Boise State was or where it was. I was like, what are we talking about? But it's just good to see someone come from a lower school and meeting all these expectations, and everybody just will remember the Heisman Trophy and someone who's beating the odds and having amazing records, like you say, video game numbers, So it's something that we wouldn't think I would see coming from a school like Boise. So it's going to be amazing.
And speaking of Ashton Jeanty, he is currently on pace to break Barry Sanders' record. Within the first 6 games, he's 100 yards ahead of what Barry Sanders was. Do you guys think he keeps it up and breaks Sanders' record this year?
Definitely.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, not only do I want to see it, I think he will do it. I know him and his offensive line are great buddies. They have a pact that if he does do it, they're going to get tattoos.
That would be crazy.
That's amazing. They're definitely going to.
I think also they have good games coming ahead. We have Hawaii, we have Wyoming, and we know it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's very possible for him to beat it really soon. So it's going to be amazing. I don't think he has any tough opponents right now that we should keep an eye on.
And moving on to what I think is the story of the season, the SEC is wide open. Honestly, before this weekend, I would tell you I think Texas is going to take it, but Georgia was able to beat them in Austin with game day there, with F1 there, just a big environment in Austin. And then, earlier in the season, you saw Alabama lose to Vanderbilt. Why do you think the SEC is up for grabs this season?
Well, like you said before the show, NIL and transfer portal is kind of evening out the odds in all of college football. That's why we're talking about more group of 5 teams. That's how everyone in the SEC now has a loss. It's kind of unbelievable. Vanderbilt had the most 3-star transfers in the entire SEC to their program.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So, I mean, the playing field is getting evened out. We're not just seeing Alabama. We're not just seeing Georgia. We're not seeing maybe LSU or Tennessee. Anyone has a shot.
Yeah. And Belle?
I completely agree. The portal has been amazing. I think just looking at how every single team has been playing, every week, I think I see something different from every team. Like sometimes I'll be, looking at UT and I'll be like, oh, like they're an offensive powerhouse right now. And then the next game, I'm like, what are they even doing with their offense? So it's been very interesting to see how every week everything changes. There's always momentums that they're keeping up and that they're going to lose. And I think their players just know that there is up for grabs and they're just trying to give everything they can on the field. And we have a lot of good kickers, and it's just been very interesting to watch the SEC this year. There's been a lot of competition, and the rivalries have been amazing. So it's been really good.
And let's talk about one program that I think hasn't really been talked about in terms of the SEC. Texas A&M under Mike Elko. We saw what he was able to do at Duke. I think he has a better roster this year, and they play LSU this Saturday. Do you guys think that that's going to be the most important game in Mike Elko's era?
Probably. I mean, I really think so. LSU's number 8. If A&M wins this game, it proves to me, it proves to the whole country that A&M is here to stay. Yes. Mike Elko is him, and he could be at A&M for a long time dominating.
Val, your thoughts?
I'm really excited about this game. 2 years ago, I worked the LSU at A&M game. And let me tell you, every A&M student there was like, we are so done. Like, it was just, they're like, I can't believe we go to this school right now. We're just going to get, our butts kicked. But I'm so excited to see the turn of events that it's, like, probably going to happen. I want A&M to win. It's going to be at Kyle Field. It's a difficult place, And I really want everybody to know that A&M is there, And we have UT, and it's always been the UT A&M, But I feel like A&M is just such a fun team to watch, and I am tired of UT getting all the credit. For Texas, A&M can also get some credit when it comes to football, So it's gonna be fun. I wanna see them beat LSU.
And in the college football playoff, obviously it's different this year. There will be 12 teams in the playoff. The top 4 teams from the Power 4 conferences will get a bye week. So, Sam, I'm going to start with you. Who are your top teams in the Power 4 conferences?
Well, I know you said a week ago you would have said Texas is at the top of the SEC. I still think that they are. In the Big Ten, I got Oregon winning it all. They're going to go undefeated this year going into the Big Ten championship and past. Iowa State in the Big 12, I think they're going to conquer BYU or Kansas State, whoever they find in that matchup. And in the ACC, I got Clemson over Miami, who is one of the undefeated teams that we talked about earlier. I know you guys don't agree with this, so I would love to hear what you guys have to say.
No, I'm really excited about us having different picks. I know Mackenzie and I think a little bit alike, but I'm going to go. So, although in the graphic says that my Big Ten pick is Oregon, I'm really excited to see what they're doing. First year in the Big Ten, I'm excited for that. I do have a team at heart that I'm going to keep for later. We then, in the Big 12, I have BYU. I think they've been fun to watch. And I'm just excited to see what they're going to do. They're undefeated, so it's fun. Then I have Georgia in the SEC. I'm really excited. And lastly, I do have Miami for the ACC. So, it could be interesting. It could be fun. And the team I want to win, and I'm not going to jinx it, is Ohio State. Go Buckeyes. I love them. So hopefully I will see them in the championship. I mean, I would love a Georgia-Ohio State game. It would be amazing. So that's my pick. That's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, those are some good picks by both of you. Iowa State, obviously still undefeated. But that's all we can talk about right now. When we come back, we'll stick with college football as we talk UNT's game against Memphis.
I'm so tired. I feel ugly. I'm not okay. I didn't know UNT had counseling services. Maybe I should check it out. This looks like the place.
What's wrong? Are you stuck in your paper?
Pretty much. I haven't written anything in like an hour.
Why don't you check out the writing center at UNT?
Well, how do I meet up with them?
All you have to do to make an appointment is visit the Writing Center's website and either call the number or email writingcenter@unt.edu. The appointment is 30 minutes long, and the trained tutors will be able to help with brainstorming, correcting grammar, ensuring clarity, and a wide range of services. They also do walk-in appointments.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna check them out.
So, when's this paper due?
30 minutes?
For more information, visit the UNT Writing Center's website.
Yeah, it's 6 pages.
Good evening. Welcome back to SportsZone. This weekend, UNT went down to Beale Street, and Memphis was able to get the win, 52-44. UNT was so close to pulling this one off. But guys, Memphis, a really good defensive team. UNT was able to make this game a shootout. Just in that alone, how does that, show UNT in their progress this season, Gabby?
I think it shows that we are somewhat prepared to take on a lot of these bigger schools. It also shows how well our offense and special teams are doing. I mean, Chandler Morris had a lights out performance, one of the best that we've seen from him, if not the best. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns, one of which he ran 49 yards for. He was also just really great in knowing who to target, which I know we'll talk about a little bit later. But I think it just showed that, our offense isn't the problem, neither is our special teams, but it's our defense. Allowing 526 yards just isn't okay. And I think once we're able to improve that, then we'll be able to move up further in the conference.
And Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was honestly pleasantly surprised by their performance. Going into this game into a hostile environment like Memphis, I wasn't really expecting them to keep it close like they did, and how the way they started out the game with DT Sheffield, 2 plays, 2 touchdowns for 75 yards. That was a great way to start the game, and right off the bat, I was really excited of how this game was going to go. It didn't end the way that we all wanted it to, but it made me feel a lot better about the upcoming games on their schedule with Memphis, with Tulane and Army.
Right. I think this game, everyone just got involved. Chandler Morris, he himself had a rushing touchdown. He also threw for 3 touchdowns and had 445 yards. What does it mean for this Mean Green offense and their next 2 games against Army and Tulane? What does it mean for them to have such a good start against Memphis? Alex?
I think it's huge. I mean, Tulane and Army, both 2 amazing defensive teams. Army ranked 2nd in the nation when it comes to points allowed. So we knew going into the season that the issue for UNT was not the offense. We knew that it was more of the defense. So to see them consistently put up amazing numbers, like you said, 445 and 3 touchdowns for Morris, I think it's very, very good news for this team going into these 2 upcoming games against tough teams, tough defenses in Tulane and Army.
Right. And Gabby?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely think that it shows that, like you said, our offense is not the issue, especially just highlighting DT Sheffield here. 8 receptions for 122 yards. He was able to get 2 touchdowns, including a 75-yard run. He really did have a really great performance. And it's not just him. It's also, like I started to mention a little bit earlier, Morris's ability to kind of make these smart plays, figure out which guys are really playing really well and be able to get the ball in their hands. That way we can score. So if they're able to do that against Tulane and the Army, I think we'll definitely have a much better chance of winning. It really just, at the end of the day, comes down to the defense.
Right. And speaking of the defense, I mentioned earlier before we started this segment that UNT is a bottom 25 defense. And I think this game truly exposed that. I mean, you let Memphis put up 52 points against you. If you could have gotten 1 or 2 more stops, then UNT wins this game.
Absolutely.
I mean, what would y'all like to see our defense do come the Tulane game and come the Army game? Gabby?
I think first and foremost, it starts with Matt Capone getting a better plan together. I mean, we've gone through changing the schemes. Right now we're running a 3-4, but I just don't understand why we keep having so many issues. So I think they really need to have a heart-to-heart, figure out exactly what can be improved, what players need to be moved around, maybe change the schemes again, and then we'll see how we do against Tulane. I mean, this is going to be, as we all know, a very big game. This is our homecoming game here at home. So hopefully us being at home, having a lot of Mean Green fans in the stands will help us as well. But I think the defense, which it doesn't all fall on the team or Capone, it's also Eric Morris's job as well as the overall head coach.
And Alex?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head with Matt Capone's defense. The offense averages 528 yards per game. That's third in the nation, and they average 41.3 points per game. Also, that one is 11th in the nation. So the offense, like we've addressed, that is not the issue. It's the defense. The defense gives up about 35.7 points per game. So like you said, I think the defense really just needs to look themselves in the mirror and really figure out what's going on here. Is it our run defense? Is it our pass defense? Like, do we just not have the heart? Like, they really just need to have a heart-to-heart with themselves, like you said.
And we're going to flip the script here. Instead of taking a look at the Mean Green defense, we're going to take a look at the Memphis defense. They're a top 50 pass defense team. But again, Chandler Morris, he was able to have 445 yards, 3 touchdowns, and just 1 interception, which I feel like an interception, as someone who has watched Mean Green football for the past 4 years, I feel like it's expected. But would y'all say that Chandler Morris proved that he's legit in this game, Gabby?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of us were joking earlier, especially as we were all watching the game live. Some of us think that he had like a Heisman-worthy performance. Now, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but it just goes to show how exceptional he played. I mean, I certainly hate to say this, but I was not expecting that from him. So I think it just shows how he's really able to play well under pressure, how he's able to focus, call smart plays, make smart plays, and just really be able to figure out where the ball needs to go.
Right. And Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, it was me in our NTTV group chat who said that final drive was going to be Chandler Morris's Heisman moment. Unfortunately, it was not, but that does not mean that he did not have a great game. The UNT did not lose that game because of Morris. Like we've said, 445 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and on the season he has 2,424 passing yards, second in the nation, and 23 passing touchdowns, also second in the nation, only behind Miami's Cam Ward in both of those categories. So yes, Morris absolutely proved himself. He definitely needs to be considered in some sort of award category, maybe even the Heisman, maybe a long stretch, but I believe that Morris absolutely proved himself as an incredible quarterback for this team.
And I know we're talking about Chandler Morris, but now we're going to flip it over to Coach Eric Morris. It's just his second season here with UNT. He needs 1 more win for UNT to be bowl eligible. I mean, first of all, did y'all see him even making the team to a bowl game this year?
No, I did not. I honestly was not expecting to be anywhere in that conversation this season, but hey, just 1 win away, I definitely can see it. I mean, I'd be surprised if we didn't get it at this point, especially seeing how much our offense and special teams have improved. So I think he can do it. I also think that he's doing a great job coaching. His only issue, like we've all mentioned ad nauseum, is going to be the defense. So if he's able to improve that, if he's able to get with the defensive coordinator, Matt Capone, then I think we'll have an even better, stronger shot at getting a bowl game.
And Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, Eric Morris has done an incredible job with this team offensively, but like we've said multiple times in this segment, the team kind of fights themselves. The team scores about 40 per game, but they also give up near 40 per game. So it's a constant battle between both sides of the ball trying to win these games. And when you have something like that, you can squeak out wins like UNT has been doing, but in the long term, you're going to have a lot of trouble finding yourselves in postseason play. Obviously, 1 win away from a bowl game, so we just need 1 more. But, you know, a bowl game isn't going to, you know, put yourself in the conference championship talks like Army and Navy and Memphis have been doing this season.
Right, and now that we're 7 games in, we're 5-2 on the year. What about the UNT football team has surprised you guys the most? I know my perspective, it's been the offense. I thought, you look at this team last year, you have Chandler Rogers, you have Jamori Macklin, and Ayo Adai, all who have transferred out of the program. You bring in 74 new guys. I did not think the offense was going to be nearly as good as they are. Gabby, what about you?
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I was not expecting our offense to be as great as it is, and I really, really want to highlight DT Sheffield. I mean, this guy is just knocking it out of the park. I know that's the wrong reference because we're talking about football right now, but he's doing great. You know, on the season, he has 186 completions, which is a career high. Oh, I'm sorry, that was actually Morris, but both of them have been doing really well. As far as he goes, I think he's really just being able to help everybody, and yeah.
And speaking of knocking it out of the park, Gabby, when we come back, we're going to be talking about some MLB playoffs, so stay with us.
Did you know you have access to video equipment like DVDs, video games, and cameras? That's right, you do. Come on down to Chilton Library and fulfill your media dream. Located on the bottom floor next to the student sculpture. Hope to see you there soon.
Hey girl, you know you look good. I like the way you move and groove. I'm not sure.
What does Talents do?
So I'm the Vice President of External Relations for Talents. That means that I basically oversee all the external committees. Our external committees entail our Model A, it's a Mean Green Machine. So they bring it to football games especially, so every game it's kind of there, every home game. The Model A is like a symbol of UNC pride, and it's a big tradition that we are so lucky to uphold and maintain. When people look at it, they see it, and they're like, oh, that's the Mean Green Machine. There must be a game today or something to ramp up school spirit for basketball, softball, volleyball, any of those things. We have amazing teams, so we just want to show school spirit for them. Bonfire Committee, which is in charge of putting together the bonfire every year for homecoming. It's kind of just a whole semester-long process up until Build Week that we have to put together and oversee and make sure safety regulations are followed and risk management is taken care of. Cannon Crew, which oversees and takes care of the cannon. They fire it at games, they take it to special occasions.
Good evening, welcome back to SportsZone. I'm your host, Mackenzie Freeman, and we finally get to talk about America's pastime, baseball. We are in the World Series now, Yankees and Dodgers for the 12th time in MLB history. And here to talk about the series with me is going to be Nash Lowry and Gabe. Guys, I know that this is the perfect World Series in baseball fans' minds. I mean, opposite ends of the country. You've got the Dodgers and the Yankees. What do you guys think about this World Series, Gabe?
I think for baseball fans that consistently watch April through October, it's not always considered the perfect World Series.
Yeah.
I think
it's
for
perfect
people,
for the script.
It's perfect for the money.
I would say, I think for people that just went to the mall and bought a hat one year, it's perfect for them because they probably have that hat that they're wearing for
It's
this.
perfect. Yeah, it's perfect if you like watching baseball highlights.
Yep.
So that's really the best part about this series. Yeah, I agree with you.
To be honest, though, it does feature the two best teams. To be fair to them,
Yeah.
they clearly have shined this season, and it will give us some great highlights, like Nash is saying. It will be great baseball. So for how much we like to clown on it, I still think it's going to be really good.
I mean, you're witnessing peak, like right now.
Peak MLB baseball.
Peak right now. Yeah.
After 2024, baseball just downhill.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than this, surely, right? Yeah.
Getting into the two teams, obviously each team has had their own struggles. Who in this series do you think has the greatest advantage, Gabe?
I think the Dodgers have like the advantage because of a couple of factors. I think they both have amazing offenses, but to be honest, when you're comparing offense and one of the offenses has the best player in the world, Shohei Ohtani, you just kind of got to give it to him. Now, if he could pitch, the series would be just totally different. I think they would have a wide advantage. I think it's very slim. But you kind of look at the Yankees with their bullpen. I say it's been a little shaky. Clay Holmes has not always been the most steady. On the other hand, you look at the Dodgers bullpen, it's been lights out. Blake Trinan and Daniel Hudson have been great. You know, guys like Michael Kopech, And so I just think you compare that with their offense with Mookie Betts, Ohtani, as I previously mentioned, Tommy Edman, who we'll get into. You just a perfect combination. I think they have a slight edge.
On my end, I have the Yankees having the advantage. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton is just way too good right now. These Dodgers highlights are all void whenever you stand the absolute might that the Yankees have. Stanton is just too good. In the regular season, he averaged just below 300, and now that he's gotten into the postseason, he's cracking 400 on his batting average. Throughout this whole season, he's averaged 1.179 OPS. Now, exactly what do I mean by OPS? Because it's a stat that a lot of people like to throw around, but nobody really knows what it actually means. So here's what it means. It's your on-base percentage plus your slugging percentage. So it's how well a player gets on base, but how well they hit at the same time. So it really is the best measurement of how good you are just at all of the aspects at baseball. So Stanton is just too good right now. They're not top heavy whatsoever. You go down their batting order, you have Torres batting first, you have Soto batting next, then Judge in the third, and then Giancarlo Stanton in the postseason. Just under 300 with 5 home runs? That's ridiculous. Then you get past him, you got Jazz Chisholm, you got Rizzo, and you got Volpe. And then there's only 2 more spots till you get back up to the top. The Yankees are just way too loaded. The Yankees have the advantage.
Yeah, and one thing that you mentioned is the Yankees' bats being hot. And I think the pitching is going to be kind of shaky on both sides. Do you guys think that this is going to be a very high-scoring World Series, each of these games?
I do. Talking about the Yankees, while I may think the Dodgers have advantage, they're just insane as well. You look at guys like Juan Soto, Gleyber Torres, Anthony Volpe, and Giancarlo Stanton, all above 800 OPS.
Yes.
And I think Stan and one or two of the others have like over a 1.0 OPS for the postseason.
Yeah, Stanton has 1.222 OPS.
Yeah, that's
and since he's
insane.
averaging .22, that means his slugging percentage is literally a 1. Like you cannot slug any better than Giancarlo Stanton is slugging right now.
So basically to kind of say that again, they're all hitting tanks. They're hitting bombs, they're hitting doubles, triples, home runs. And so I really think if the Dodgers, which we'll get into this in a minute, I think if the Dodgers starters can't get into the later innings, that bullpen is just going to wear out. That has been so dominant for the Dodgers this postseason. I think it's going to start wearing out as you get deeper and deeper into the series. I think the bats for the Yankees could prevail, but I think you think about that on the same side for the opposite.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the Dodgers pitchers because you look at Flaherty, Yamamoto, and Buehler. They've combined for 8 starts this postseason, all of which have pitched less than 5 innings. How do you guys feel about the stability of the Dodgers starting pitchers?
So I think that the stability, and I'm pretty sure Gabe and I are going to see eye to eye on this one. So the stability of the Dodgers pitching is really strong in the beginning part. I feel like as this series gets later on into it and the Yankees get more film on those starters, the starters are really confident for the Dodgers, which is why I think they're going to take an early lead. Personally, the Dodgers are going to take the lead early, and then the Yankees are going to have to climb their way back up. So I feel like the Dodgers pitching is really top-heavy, but once you get past like the crust or the mantle, if you want to think about it in geographical terms, once you get past the crust, you ain't got nothing left.
I was going to say, you look at kind of the Rangers from last year. It's kind of a way for me to compare this for everyone.
Yeah.
You look at Montgomery and you look at Eovaldi. Those two guys gave you consistently 6 to 7 innings and outings.
They are just the greatest of all time. Okay, go on.
Yes. So if you're getting 6 to 7 outings from your starters every single time they go out there, Bochy was Leclerc, I want to say every win that we had. But outside of him, Spores and Chapman got just enough of a break to where Chapman, risky as he was, generally got the job done. Spores was dominant. You just look at different bullpen guys, you're able to use Heaney and Bradford kind of as swing pieces. But you had that pitching depth because you weren't having to bring these guys in the 4th inning on every single game like the Dodgers are having. And that's not sustainable. You need a guy or two that can go out there, make it where you only need 1 or 2 dudes out of the pen. And then that saves your other guy. You just have so much more depth, and you get that rest as the series goes on.
But starting top heavy, you look at Walker Buehler. This guy is a monster, okay? And he's 4-0 in his postseason so far in games that he's played. And just in Game 3 of the NLCS, he had 6 strikeouts. Guess how many innings he pitched? He only pitched 4 innings and already had 6 strikeouts against a really good hitting Mets team, which means he had to go up against Alonso twice, and he had to go up against Lindor twice, and he had to go up against Starling Marte twice. So I feel Buehler is really strong, and you look at Yamamoto, in 14 games so far this season, whenever you just divide these 14 games, 1.73 ERA. And then when you go to the rest of his 20 games that he's had, whenever you add the other ones that he's pitched, it's a 3.21 ERA. So Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Walker Buehler are really strong. But once you get past that, I don't think there's a lot of defense that these Dodgers can play against the Yanks.
Yeah, and go ahead, Gabe.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to take you. I was just going to say, if they can't get 6+ innings from Yamamoto, Walker Buehler, and Flaherty,
yes.
If they can't get 6+ innings, eventually those guys that I mentioned earlier, Blake Trinan, Anthony Banda, Daniel Hudson, Michael Kopech, those guys are going to start to wear down just because of pitching. If they have to pitch Game 1, Game 2, back to back, they're just they can't take it this whole series, this whole postseason. So you need that length.
Right, and getting into this series, it seems like both teams pitching-wise, they're going to have to figure something out. So, obviously, you're going to have to turn to the bats. Who are your guys' X factors in this matchup? Gabe, I'll start with you.
Okay, so for the Yankees, I have Giancarlo Stanton. Now, I also kind of have a secondary one that I kind of realized as we were talking pre-show.
You just picked the best
now,
one.
see, but if he goes cold,
yes.
What do you do?
Yeah,
what do you do?
right.
Yeah.
Now he's been the MVP, and he arguably will stay the MVP if he keeps on doing what he's been doing. But they need him to do what he's been doing because we want to talk about a guy like Aaron Judge, star player. He's gotten hot in the ALCS, but if he goes back to what he's been consistently been throughout the past 4, 5, 6 postseasons or so, you can expect him to regress. And so you need that hot streak. You need him to continue to hit absolute bombs for you if you want to see your offense succeed.
I understand, Gabe. My X factors is going to be from the Yankees. I've got Juan Soto as my X factor, and from the Dodgers, I got Tommy Edman. Yes, I did just name the NLCS MVP. You have to understand. But this guy got added in the middle of the season, and so far in this postseason, 407, 11 RBIs, talking about Edman, 11 hits, and only 4 strikeouts in all of the games that he's played. I've got the Yankees in 7. However, like I said with the pitching earlier, the Dodgers are going to take an early lead in this series. And yes, it's Yankees in 7, so the Dodgers will not win, Gabe. Your opinion is invalid. But so I have the Yankees winning in 7. However, the Dodgers are going to take a 3-2 lead in this series, and the Yankees are going to have to pull themselves out of one decent pull. Mackenzie?
Yeah, I have the Yankees in 6, and my X factors are Shohei Ohtani with batters on base, and then Juan Soto for the Yankees. Honorable mention, Anthony Rizzo.
Yes.
He's got a .429 batting average in this postseason. But that's all we have time for. Be sure to catch those games because it's going to be high scoring and just fun baseball. And when we come back, we'll talk about the NBA.
Ugh, a 20-minute walk. I don't want to do this right now.
Don't worry, you can just use Transit.
Transit? What's that?
Transit is a mobile app that provides real-time tracking to connect buses, UNT shuttles, and even A trains. Simply download the app, then tap on the search bar and type where you want to go. In a matter of seconds, you get results for all available routes. And the best part of it is, it's completely free for UNT students. What are you doing?
I'm downloading it right now.
Download Transit today and remember, make life better without a car.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell and I'm joining you here today in the Union Parking Garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my god, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my god.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our Mean Green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Welcome back to SportsZone. As you can see, I had to do a little outfit change as we're going to talk about the NBA and the season outlook. Here to talk about that with me is Oscar Chavez and Isaiah Ortiz. Guys, I think one of the biggest storylines in the NBA is that Lonzo Ball is finally back. We haven't seen him play since January 19th, 2022. How are you guys feeling about his performances so far?
That is a long time, 1,006 days to be precise. And man, am I excited to see the other Zoe brother play, man. He underwent knee surgery and missed the rest of the 2022 season. And then he went another knee surgery to help with the cartilage in 2023, missing that whole season. And well, now he's able to jump, he's able to cut, he's able to play ball. I'm very excited to see that two-way monster go to work.
And Isaiah?
Yeah, I think this could be one of the best stories in the NBA because he was describing his knee injury as comparable to Brandon Roy's, which ended his career. So if he's able to come back and really be not even just an effective NBA player, but a good one, then I think this is not only the best story this year, but like one of the best in NBA history, I think.
And that's a pretty interesting comparison you had brought up with Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy got out of the league as soon as those injuries kept piling up. So it's going to be fairly interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see Lonzo back and balling. I mean, you obviously see LaMelo Ball balling out with the Hornets. Unfortunately, they're not that good, but, you know, they have LaMelo Ball. Switching gears, you know, obviously we said Lonzo Ball is finally back. So we're going to talk about some teams here that may not have had the best history, but can make some noise. I'm going to go with the Orlando Magic here. I'm excited to see what they do with Banchero. I mean, season by season since he's been drafted, the Magic obviously last year made the playoffs, got knocked out, but I think they can go even deeper this year. Isaiah?
Yeah, before I say mine, I really like your Magic pick there. Adding KCP to that team will open up spacing. It's going to be great for their team, but I'm going with the Houston Rockets here. I am so high on the Rockets this year. You have Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, two guys who just signed extensions, by the way. I expect them to take near all-star, if not all-star leaps. You have a great defensive supporting cast with Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith as well, and then your veterans, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks here, the instigator, as I like to call him. And then,
it's like the Draymond Green of the Rockets.
Yeah, of course. I honestly love it. I used to be a hater, but I've grown into it. But Ime Udoka as well, one of the better coaches in the league. We saw what he did his first year with Boston. Now he gets another year under his belt. They almost made the playoffs last year, had that late season run, but I do expect them to be in the playoffs this year. They will make the playoffs.
Mark his words right now. Oscar, who are you going with?
Well, I like the Orlando pick. They just made the playoffs look very promising. I did like the Houston pick. However, I got someone straight from the gutter. Give me the San Antonio Spurs to complete that jump. Chris Paul is not only going to get Wembanyama damn near MVP trophy, but he is going to push him to stardom. He's not going to be the face of the NBA, which we're going to get to in just a minute. However, I have second-year Wembanyama going absolutely nuts. Every team that Chris Paul has gone to has gotten better. It's proven, it's statistical, and they have good role players.
Yeah, so they'll jump from 20 wins to 30 wins.
I will say the Warriors did not get better when they traded for Chris Paul last year.
True.
That's all I'm saying.
True.
He can still dish out that rock, pull up midi, okay, but mainly just feed Wembanyama. They have good role players too. I believe we take away a little bit from Devin Vassell. He's a two-way combo guard that got a max for a reason. You know, he can score on all three levels. He can defend really good. And I'm most interested to see that rookie, Stephen Castle from UConn, a proven winner. Come on. With the most winning coach of all time in Greg Popovich, give me the Spurs.
I think that's just a crazy pick. But you mentioned Victor Wembanyama and being the face of the NBA. I feel like 2024, this season, we're going to see maybe a few retirees or some of those players that we grew up with pretty much show that they're out of their prime. I mean, you got LeBron James, Steph Curry, both of those two players getting up there in age. So, Isaiah, I'm going to go with you real quick. Who do you think, young athlete-wise, can be the new face of the NBA?
Yeah, I think as we're witnessing the changing of the guard here, I do think the new face of the NBA outside of Victor Wembanyama will be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the OKC Thunder rise to real dynasty-level talks potentially. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be the face of that. He's already in a lot of commercials. Who remembers the commercial last year with Chet Holmgren, the Christina Aguilera cover? Things like that are only going to grow. I think from a marketing perspective, the OKC Thunder, again, really fit with what the youth liked for basketball today. You thought about the Thunder from our days, like how Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden really spoke to us, I think they're going to be the same way for today's youth.
And Oscar?
So with the jersey I have on, I really wanted to go Luka. However, I don't think the NBA wants that. I don't think the NBA wants someone overseas representing the league. Give me Jason Tatum. We named LeBron. We named Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry. What is the common denominator between all those? They've been to multiple championships, leaving legacies. Jason Tatum just got his first, and I believe it is not going to be his last. I believe this team is built up for success, and ultimately, he's getting the All-NBAs. He's getting the All-Star appearances. And he's going to win more championships, sadly.
I have to disagree just from
also disagree.
The amount of groans I just heard from the video room. Like, that makes me think that it probably won't happen. But I understand your pick. I picked him as like second for MVP a couple shows ago, so I don't disagree from that point. The likability aspect is where I have my trouble here with Jason Tatum.
Oh, yeah. No one likes a copycat, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I think the NBA community, as it stands right now, I think they find Jason Tatum corny. So I don't think that he'll be the face of the NBA. I kind of think Anthony Edwards, if he can get some rings under his belt.
That's the thing.
I think Anthony Edwards can be the new face of the NBA. I mean, he's explosive. He, knows how to contribute to his team. I think there's a lot of talent. I also like the Shea pick. I really wasn't thinking about him when I made that question, but now that you say it, I'm like, dang, that's a pretty good pick. And speaking of Jason Tatum, the Celtics, they obviously won the championship last year, basically have the same roster. I think they made some extensions, but pretty much no one left the team. Do you guys think that they can run it back to back?
So defending my previous argument, because that was okay, but I think they're going to run it back. They have all the right pieces to run it back. They're bringing back everybody. I had to watch and witness my Mavericks get absolutely destroyed on national television in the finals through Kristaps Porzingis, someone who could have helped us. However, he absolutely killed us because it's just unfair. You have two guards that can absolutely lock down the other guards, and then you have two forwards, the Jays, that can do it all. So with Porzingis in there as well, I think injuries are the only concern going forward with this team.
Yeah, Isaiah, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just talked about this team potentially being a dynasty, so I think the OKC Thunder will dethrone the Boston Celtics this year. You talk about Isaiah Hartenstein, Alex Caruso, two of the better defensive role players in the league coming into Boston. What did Boston do last year? They traded for Porzingis, and then they got Drew Holiday in the Damian Lillard sweepstakes. So I do think that they are going to make that same jump. With Shea, I think he'll win MVP. Chet, J-Dub making big jumps as well. They re-signed Isaiah Joe, one of the best shooters in the league, and Aaron Wiggins, one of the more underrated role players in the league. So you have the culmination of young talent, a good coach in Mark Dagnall. I do think they'll end up dethroning the Boston Celtics because I just think, all in all, I'm saying it right now, I think they're the better team.
I like that Chet pick. I don't like J-Dub taking the extra leap. He looked like a puppy in the playoffs. He wasn't aggressive, and when he was, it was an air ball.
But playoffs build experience, though. So
That's
if he takes the past experience, he learns from them, and he'll end up helping OKC get to where they want to go.
That's a fair point.
And I think I said this 3 years ago on one of the SportsZone. I'll have to find the clip. I said you give the Thunder 2 or 3 more seasons, they're going to be up there in playoff talks, probably Western Conference Finals. But I got to ask you, Isaiah, do you think the Celtics take the East?
They probably do, as much as I don't want to admit it. They probably do end up taking the East again, probably them or New York in a close 6 or 7 series in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, you have New York.
I do. New York
Oh,
is very
yeah.
good.
I've got the Knicks versus the Celtics.
Cal Bridges hasn't been looking good in the system, but
Yeah,
hey,
but you got
you gotta
Jalen Brunson.
give it some time to mesh, right?
You've got Cat now. I mean, they've got the weapons to succeed.
Cat looked horrible in the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, but regular season, I mean, if you can do good enough to get that number 2 seed, and with the talent that he has around him, I think they'll be fine to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I agree. They're going to be a powerhouse.
I mean, who else would you see beating the Knicks?
That's a fair point. No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
not much over
who
there
in the East? Yeah. Obviously, you have OKC winning the West. Oscar, who do you have winning the West?
This is definitely a tough one, but let me run it back with the Mavericks. Luka is only just going to get better. We have, sorry, I am blanking real quick, but Lively is going to come and be a force in his second year. He had a spot up 3 in the corner. I think that development is only going to get better. This team is only going to mesh well. I have the lobs are just going to come, and Klay Thompson just got here, which not shooting the best. However, I think ultimately he's going to come into form because you don't lose shooting like that.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting battle in the West, but when we come back, we'll take a look at the NFL as they are midway through the season.
I'm here to rescue you.
Oh, my prince.
No so fast.
This story is going to be awesome.
Hey Alex, this guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounce checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me?
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break.
No.
Are you behind on your credit hours? Got more time on your hands this winter? Then you need to sign up for winter sessions. Do not delay, sign up today. Visit registration.unt.edu/winter session for more information or see your advisor.
Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm your host, Mackenzie Freeman, and we are at week 8 of the NFL season. Some teams have been doing really good, and then you've got the Jets. So here to talk about the NFL with me is Griffin Flack and Kenny Johnson. Guys, let's get into these divisions. There's some divisions that have great competition, some not so much. What division do you think is the most stacked right now, Griffin?
I'm going to have to go with the NFC North. If you look at the NFC North, the worst team is 4-2. You got the Lions at 5-1. The Vikings are 5-1. The Packers are 5-2, and the Bears, they essentially lost the bye week because they didn't get a win. So they're just sitting at 4-2. So I mean, I'd have to say the NFC North. You got a bunch of young talent on that team, in the division. Really, you got Jordan Love and Caleb Williams, 2 stud quarterbacks. Jared Goff, who is in the MVP race right now. And you just got a whole bunch of good players in this division. It's going to be a really fun division to monitor for a couple of years.
Yeah, and Kenny, your thoughts?
I have to agree with Griffin. Just seeing the NFC North, it is so stacked. Like, for instance, literally 3 of the 4 for defense is in the NFC North.
Right.
Then literally for our offense, literally like 3 out of 4 teams are literally top 10 in offense, with the Bears being top 15. So it's pretty much a stacked division. So I really love what I'm seeing, especially from the Lions.
Yeah.
Even though they whooped my Cowboys, I really do like the Lions, especially, and then also the Vikings. Like, this start with Sam Darnold. Who would expect
that defense?
That? Oh
Yeah.
that defense.
And I'm going to agree with you guys. I think the NFC North is the best division right now for a number of reasons. Obviously, you mentioned the records. The bottom team in the division is 4-2. You know, if you were to look at the Cowboys division, the bottom team's like, what, 1-3, I think, right now?
Yeah.
So, obviously, you know, the NFC, you've got the stacked quarterbacks. You saw the shootout between the Vikings and the Lions yesterday. That was, you know, a score of 31-29. I think we'll just see some great competitive football in that division. And sticking in that division with the Vikings, you all mentioned quarterback play. Sam Darnold is having himself his best season by far.
Yeah.
Do you think that this proves Tom Brady's theory of having a quarterback sit behind a veteran, Griffin?
I'm going to say it depends. I would say if you have a system in place, like you have a good coaching staff and just good pieces, then you can stick your stud quarterback right into the fire. But if you're a couple years away and you don't really have a good system going, I would say put him behind a good veteran quarterback. Let him learn for a couple years. If you look at guys like Zach Wilson, you got, I mean, even Trevor Lawrence, who is supposed to be the most hyped prospect ever. If you look at them, they had a terrible coaching staff. They had terrible weapons. And now, I mean, Zach Wilson's a backup.
Right.
And you look at C.J. Stroud, who has D'Amico Ryans, and he had Nico Collins. He has a good defense. I mean, it's all about the system, I would say.
Right. And Kenny, your thoughts?
I agree. It really all depends on the situation. I think about 4 quarterbacks. I think of Big Ben. I think of C.J. Stroud. I think of David Carr. And I think of Bryce Young. If you look at Big Ben and you look at C.J. Stroud, they were put in good situations and they were able to succeed. They were able to win Rookie of the Years. But if you look at David Carr and Bryce Young, they were put on some terrible, terrible teams. Like, people forget, Bryce Young, since he's been in the league, has been sacked the most. He's been sacked 69 times. And the same thing with David Carr. He got sacked like 84 times as a rookie. So if you don't have any talent around you, how are you expected to succeed?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys. I would say it depends too, because you look at Caleb Williams and where he was, they desperately needed a change of the quarterback. I think Justin Fields was good, but obviously he just wasn't working in that system. And Caleb Williams, I think he just had to go in there, change the schemes. And speaking of Caleb Williams, I know you mentioned Trevor Lawrence was the most hyped prodigy, but I think now that I'm conscious about it and was paying attention, Caleb Williams had a lot of hype going into this season. Kenny, I'm going to start with you. Do you think Williams is living up to the hype?
I mean, people got to relax. Like, I understand. People forget Caleb Williams, he's not doing that bad. Despite the offensive struggles, he has 9 TDs with 5 interceptions and has over 1,300 yards. Like, that's not bad for a rookie. Granted, I feel like the hype that people had for him, they thought, you know, Jaden Daniels, like, nobody expected that. But at the same time, people got to relax. I personally think Caleb Williams will be fine.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. His first start was not very good, but he has improved every single week. And as a Lions fan, I am terrified of Caleb Williams. I really am. He can pretty much do it all. I'm not saying he is Mahomes, but he can do Mahomes things. But yeah, I'm terrified of Caleb Williams. This goes back to my previous point. He had a system in place. He had good weapons, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. They drafted Rome Odunze. They have a great defense. And you put in a talented rookie like Caleb Williams, special things are, the future is bright for the Bears.
Yeah, and speaking of rookies and young talent, Jaden Daniels is having a better season than I think what most people thought he would have. He's got 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he is second currently in QBR with a 73.8. Did y'all expect Jaden Daniels to put on this performance?
That's hard to say. I want to give credit to Cliff Kingsbury. I do want to give credit to him. He's a great offensive mind. They have a ton of faith in what Jaden Daniels can do, and he's a dual threat quarterback. He can make any throw. He can scramble. So I wouldn't say I'm shocked, but I am a little shocked at how good he's been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be good, but how quickly he has turned into such a great quarterback, yeah. But all props to him. He's a great quarterback.
And Kenny, your thoughts?
Same thing. I wasn't expecting Jaden Daniels to really do this. And like you said, prop to Cliff Kingsbury. And, you know, I feel like him able to use his legs has just really helped. And, you know, also I love that he's only, like, his completion percentage is only 75%, which is really good. He's been very clean with the ball. And really, hopefully Washington doesn't kill him like how they killed RG3. And, you know, as a Cowboys fan, I hate to admit this, I'm excited for him. I am so excited for him.
Are you ready to play him? Getting into some big trades. I don't know if I would be excited if I was a Cowboys fan taking on Jaden Daniels. But getting into some recent trades, obviously the biggest one probably right now is Davante Adams to the Jets. You know, I think that was a desperate trade. What do you guys think about the trade?
I'm going to have to agree. As a Lions fan, I despise Rodgers. I do not think this trade helps the Jets at all. And this pains me to say, but Aaron Rodgers is the LeBron of the NFL. He wants to get his way. The Jets, they got Randall Cobb for like a year to please Rodgers. They got Lazard, now Davante. And this will have a major impact on Garrett Wilson, in my opinion. Garrett Wilson won't get as many targets because Rodgers wants to throw it to his best friend in Davante Adams. So, Rodgers needs to get his way. I don't think this trade is good at all for the Jets.
And Kenny, your thoughts?
I just don't like Aaron Rodgers. Just with the Jets in general, I mean, they're just one giant question mark from the play on the field to the coaching to the front office. Like, there's just so many question marks. And granted, like with Devontae Adams, people forget he's only played 3 games this season.
Right.
He's really not been healthy, or when he plays, I mean, besides one game, he just really hasn't been just wow.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I just say I hope for the best, but I just don't trust the Jets.
Yeah, and I think we saw what this duo is going to look like for the rest of the season. On Sunday, Adams, 9 targets, only 3 of those were caught. And I think if Aaron Rodgers wanted him that bad, the numbers should be better than that, in my opinion. But moving on to another big trade, this one's actually really interesting to me because some people love it, some people hate it. Amari Cooper to the Bills. I think this is a good trade. How big of an impact do you guys think Amari Cooper will have on the Bills, considering Diggs isn't there anymore?
Yeah, I love this trade a lot more than the Devontae Adams to the Jets trade. This is basically Stephon Diggs' replacement. It'll bring out the best in rookie Keon Coleman. They'll free up more targets for him. So, I mean, I do love this trade.
And Kenny, your thoughts?
I'm just happy for Allen, honestly. I mean, the headache of Diggs is probably gone now. I mean, at least Cooper won't argue as much. And for Cooper, I'm so happy he's off that dumpster fire called the Cleveland Browns. So I feel like this will open up the Bills' offense because they actually have a true number 1 receiver.
Right, and we'll see how the Bills do with Amari Cooper, but that's all the time we have for tonight. Be sure to follow us on our socials at NTTV_sports and keep those TVs on as Nightly News is going to start here in just a few minutes.